Forsooth, I hereby declare it is time for the Clash Royale League in Europe. Our first match today features two teams in the thick of the playoff race. Third-ranked Allegiance against sixth-ranked Fnatic. Can Fnatic continue their epic late-season comeback? Or will Allegiance make a statement? Answers lie in the arena.
For a team that struggled in 2v2 until this man came in, it was Wiko who solved the riddle and put Allegiance in a spot where now they are fighting for second place in our standings. But across from him, Lemon-T, the hero for Fnatic in their last match against Misfits, closing things out in King of the Hill. Hello and welcome to Clash Royale League. I'm Rich Slayton. Joining me is Andrew Guy, and we have just 2 weeks left in the CRL season. Time is running short for these teams to make their statement about where they belong in our playoff picture.
Yes, this is a big one for Allegiance today. With a win, they could hop into that second place position. However, their next match is against G2 Esports, battling it out at the top. And then Fnatic, with a win today, keep their playoff hopes alive.
And of course, those playoffs, so important, getting into the 3 and 4 spot, do get you a shot at the World Finals, but you have to win 2 to even get to our regional finals. The number 2 spot, of course, gets a first round bye, and number 1 gets just 1 game in their way on the route to Japan.
Yes, Tokyo, Japan, December 1st. Rich and I will be there. Go in-game to your news tab and figure out all the details that you need to know about joining us.
Later today, we have Team Liquid making their playoff push up against Misfits. But right now, it is Allegiance looking for that number 2 spot against Fnatic, trying to stay relevant in the playoff picture.
Absolutely. We got Wiko coming out for Allegiance today, Doberman, Lupanji, and of course, Donkey Kong back from his injury, and their opponents, Fnatic, Lemon-T, Asuchini, and Dion trying to keep their playoff hopes alive.
And a big part of keeping Fnatic in that playoff run is Lemon-T, who had a huge win after draw in his 1v1 set. And then, of course, closing out King of the Hill against Reggae, against Misfits. So he's been a big part of why they are still in the hunt. And, of course, we're going to sit down and talk with him with Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. So, Lemon-T, first of all, the last time you played Allegiance, you were in the 2v2. Tell me about the lineup today.
Yeah, like the last couple of days, we practiced with this lineup, and that's going really well, so we decided to do the same today. So I will play the 1v1, and they will play the 2v2. And I think it will work well. It will work better.
So what do you think your biggest challenge is today playing Allegiance?
Like, I really know them, like, we're really good friends, but I think this time we prepared more for the match. Like last time we predicted all the matchup, but we didn't build the right deck. So this time we prepared more consistent, so I think we are ready.
And of course, more important than today's match is the place in the standings. What are your thoughts on that?
Like, I know we need a miracle to make to a playoff, but we will still play for a win today.
We'll see. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. Well, miracles are always possible here at CRL. We have seen so many. But a miracle always needs help, and who else helped that than the coaches? Let's see what Romain for Allegiance and Coach Kyle for Fnatic have to say inside the war rooms.
All right, guys. How are you feeling today?
Really good.
Really good?
Above average.
Above average? That's good. Today we're playing against Allegiance. For the 2v2, Asu, Dion, 1v1, Lemon.
Surprise.
I think we're ready to play. We've got the bands we wanted. I mean, I don't know what to say. I think you guys are comfortable. You're ready to go.
3 matchs, c'est ce qu'il nous reste à jouer. Il nous reste 3 matchs à jouer et ces 3 matchs, ils peuvent tout changer. Littéralement, ces 3 matchs, ils peuvent même changer votre carrière au final. Parce qu'ils ont une très grande influence sur la CRL et donc du coup sur Clash. Maintenant, certes, on a 3 matchs. Aujourd'hui, on en a qu'un. On joue contre Fnatic. On les prend pas à la légère parce qu'ils reviennent de très loin et ils reviennent très bien. Là, ils sont sur une série de victoires ou je sais plus trop quoi, mais ils sont très très bien. Ils sont même repassés devant Dignitas, donc on néglige pas. Il y a des bons joueurs en face. Maintenant, moi, je vous connais, je vous vois travailler tous les jours. Et
Certains dorment.
Et certains plus que d'autres. Et j'ai une très très grande confiance en vous. Donc je sais que ça va le faire. à chaque fois, ça se passe bien. Donc là, il n'y a pas de raison que ça se passe moins bien. Donc voilà. On sort de cette salle et encore une fois, aujourd'hui, on les éclate. Et on repart avec la victoire.
Ouais.
Ça va? Allez.
Le plan me convient.
1, 2, 3,
Allez
2v2 is like watching 4 hungry barbarians at an all-you-can-eat buffet. The bones are flying, elixir is everywhere, and we are all entertained. Doberman and Wiko, Dion and Asuchini, let the 2v2 feast begin!
King, you should see what raged up E-Barbs do to the buffet at the Morongo Casino. Guys, it is 2v2 Allegiance versus Fnatic, and everyone here is certainly hungry for a win.
Absolutely. Wiko and Doberman have found a good amount of success. They've come out 3 times, finding wins in 2 of those 2v2 sets, and their opponents, Asuchini and Dion. Dion struggling in the 1v1 set, moving over to 2v2 to try and find the winning combo for Fnatic.
Taking a look at the card bans that are active for all potential 3 games here in 2v2, it is Tornado and Lava Hound.
Yeah, no surprises here for us, and no surprises for Coach Kyle, putting Allegiance on the NATO ban, thinking he might be ahead of them just 1 or 2 steps.
Last time out, Allegiance took the clean sweep 4 games in a row. Fnatic wants to rewrite that story. Fnatic's Dion and Asuchini at the top of your screen, Allegiance, Doberman, and Wiko at the bottom. Good lucks for both. And the overpowered wizard emotes flying across the screen.
Love that dabbing wizard. We see 2 Royal Giants in the hands of Dion and Asuchini. And I'm going to be very curious to see if it works today. We found that the double Royal Giant hasn't had a lot of success in 2v2, not being able to create a large enough offensive presence because it isn't able to get enough support.
But take a look at the way they are supporting the Andrew.
Yeah.
We see the Lumberjack and the Giant Skeleton, so 2 interesting wrinkles to this deck that might be enough to make its way across the river.
Yeah, and I think if they drop them in the exact order that you said, Lumberjack first, Giant Skelly behind, and then the Royal Giant behind the 2 of them, that would probably be the best way to create a push, but I guess we'll find out.
So first minute down and first blood drawn by Allegiance, a little bit of damage on both lanes.
And we got the Giant Skelly, the Royal Giant coming down. Cannon not coming out for Allegiance, though, deciding to drop the guards and the Lumberjack instead.
Well, the Lumberjack does chop it down fairly quickly.
And a good zap by Fnatic, recognizing that Lumberjack was getting tanked for in the right-hand side, would have taken a lot more damage.
Yeah, heads-up play by Dion and Asuchini so far. Halfway through regulation time, and Fnatic does have a slight lead on the right-hand side.
Interesting with Allegiance having that Mega Knight as the biggest response to their tanks, that and the Inferno Dragon for that big push coming down with the Lumberjack and the Royal Giant there, the Giant Skelly bomb going off. Since the Mega Knight has to be up close and personal, you wonder if it'll actually be as effective as, say, a P.E.K.K.A. or something.
Well, effective so far for Allegiance has been Wiko. As we mentioned at the top of the show, he has really changed the 2v2 set for his squad, going 5-3 overall. His debut in 2v2 was the first time these 2 squads played.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and they had a great amount of success that day, Rich.
That they did.
And that bomb doing a great job of cleaning up the Inferno Dragon, and that cannon coming in just in time. Heads-up play, did not even see that coming down.
And that fireball, a little bit of a miscommunication there, taking care of Bats, not picking up the Royal Hogs, who were pulled to the middle by a Tombstone.
And there is that Mega Knight coming down, meeting the Royal Giant, the Inferno Dragon coming in. Nothing to reset the Inferno Dragon, however. Oh, Zap coming in just in time.
So the last 15 seconds of regulation in double elixir time, heading to sudden death overtime, and the split lane pressure of Allegiance so far paying off quite a bit.
Yeah, and Fnatic really needs to try to figure out the correct timing to get their Lumberjack to die at the right time that they throw down their Skelly and their Royal Giant. And the problem, or the reason that hasn't been able to happen yet, is they've been spending so much elixir on defense.
And great job taking advantage of the fireball being out of cycle, playing the first set of Royal Hogs, and then as a split, and then setting the other set down the lane opposite where Fnatic's trying to push.
Wow, and that Lumberjack coming across by the cannon is actually going to pay off well for Fnatic if their troops stay alive. Not going to happen, though. Oh, wow, and the log pushing the Royal Giant forward.
An unexpected interaction, but it does happen. You drop the log just a second or a tile wrong, and it pushes troops the wrong direction.
Yep, and that is not what you wanted. That one shot coming through for the Royal Giant.
Although now Fnatic's left-hand tower in spell cycle range, so Allegiance does need to defend these Royal Giant pushes, but they are capable of finishing this thing very quickly with some burst damage if they choose to.
And that cannon coming down just in time. That's what Allegiance has to keep doing if they want to win this, and those Royal Hogs are going to be a big, big problem for Fnatic.
A raged up Giant.
And the spell coming in, and that's going to do it. Wow. That was close, though.
Closer than we imagined the way it was early on. And again, I think the key turning point was they split those hogs, baited out the fireball on the right-hand side, and put pressure in the lane opposite to the one they were trying to push.
And it also seemed like Fnatic just couldn't figure out the correct cycle or the adequate defense, efficient enough defense to where they could create those Royal Giant Skelly pushes with the Lumberjack. And you see these Royal Hogs the entire game, splitting them, setting them all down at the same time. Just a lot to deal with, and changing it up is always the best way to go. Allegiance taking that very, very first game.
So another great performance from Wiko, who improves his 2v2 game record to 13-8. Has been fantastic here. Last time with Lupanji, this time with Doberman. Keeps performing at a very, very high level. Game number 2 about to get underway. The band cards one more time. It is Tornado and Lava Hound. Dion Asuchini not having answers for that double Royal Hog deck last time around, and it's looking a lot like Allegiance is going to run that one back.
Yeah, and you see the changeup from from Tombstone to Cannon a good amount. We've talked about it a lot over the last couple of weeks because of that Royal Giant buff. Just having that extra bit of HP provides so much more utility. The Tombstone getting 2-shot by the Royal Giant does not provide enough defense. And so this is what you're trying to do here. You're creating this big push. The Lumberjack is in the back, but it is going to get targeted ideally by the opponent's Lumberjack there, but instead focusing on the Royal Giant. Not quite working the way Allegiance had it all pieced together, but still getting a couple shots in.
Allegiance, I really thought they were running back that same double Royal Hog deck again, instead going double Royal Giant, saying, hey, we just showed we can beat you when you do this. Now we'll show you we can beat you when we do this.
Yeah, and just like I said, that push there was more what it looked like Fnatic was trying to create that entire last game. So if Allegiance could do that again, and maybe just that Lumberjack interaction that happened on the last push, it changing to where the Lumberjacks focus on each other, could have meant maybe 1,000 more damage on that tower.
But a ton here on the right-hand side, getting a few shots, and between the Inferno Dragon and the Ice Wizard, there are some good answers, but that Ice Wiz getting taken care of by that Prince pretty easily.
And just a second late on that Fireball to get that flying machine down. It was all the difference in the world. Now we got a very healthy Golem on the tower. Golemites coming in, and that's a lot of damage for Allegiance.
That Ice Wiz being on the outside of the tower, getting really exposed, and you got to wonder how much damage would have been saved if that Ice Wizard had not been killed by that Prince so early on.
Yeah, and they've got to recognize, Allegiance has to recognize now that the Flying Machine is going to be the first thing to come down to counter their Inferno Dragon, so they got to wait to push and always have the Fireball in cycle, and here's the push that we're talking about. Giant Skelly up front, Lumberjack in the middle, got to take the aggro from the Inferno Dragon, rage everything up, and this is exactly what Allegiance wanted to create in this push.
And that bomb does not get off early enough to create room for that Royal Giant, but you see the idea that Andrew was describing. A lot of fun synergy there for this 2v2 build.
Yeah, it is a very, very fun synergy, Rich. It is a very tough one to execute, however, costing a lot of elixir and needing all of the things to kind of fall into place perfectly.
Fnatic needs to defend here well. They do have that left-hand tower down in spell cycle range, so if they can hold tight here and not let this Royal Giant get shots off, they could have the game won here, but that Royal Giant gets one, gets two, does not get a third. Double Fireball too late.
A second late. Yeah, you could see that Allegiance was really, really hoping that Royal Giant would get one more shot off holding onto their Fireballs, because we know a lot of times when you're going into overtime, if you're fighting for the tower at the last second, you've got to expend a ton of elixir to get the spells off, and then you end up just losing your second tower tower anyway because you're at a huge disadvantage. And here's that moment where I was talking about keeping the fireball in cycle because you know the flying machine's going to come down. The golem comes in and gets a ton of damage against Allegiance here, only having the Mega Minions to clean up.
And this push changed everything. And we see the final moments here. Andrew, walk us through what happens.
So the poison comes down in the bottom left, so very close. They're waiting on that last hit to come in. You see the fireballs coming in late, just trying to preserve that elixir. You get it. You got to play smart. However, you got to take the tower first.
So a big improvement this time for Fnatic. Swept last time out. This time around, though, a slight change. It was Asuchini and Lemon Tea. Now it's Asuchini and the Dutch Demon trying to take things here in game number 3.
Toujours. Mais tu sais qu'ils en ont deux des princes.
Now, while Fnatic is still fighting for a spot in the playoffs, it would be very difficult. They'd have to pass both SK Gaming and Team Liquid and have both of those teams lose some big-time matches by a fairly wide margin. They can play spoiler here, and Allegiance fighting for a number 2 spot. Again, being in 3rd or 4th, still making the playoffs, but forced you to play one extra match on the route to the World Finals.
Yeah, again, it's just not a position either of these teams want to be in. Allegiance basically having to win today. Now, I understand that they're higher in the rankings, but losing that match today is a big implications for their point or their position in the standings moving forward. Whereas, like you said, Fnatic, they need a lot of things to fall their way for them to make it, so they are playing Dream Killers.
A loss right now, or today for Allegiance, would put them a full game behind G2 as opposed to the half game where they are right now. So that would be quite a fall at the moment, really putting a lot of pressure on their game with G2 coming up very, very soon.
Yeah, G2 is really wanting Allegiance to lose this one today so that they can go into that next game with just a bit of cushion and a bit of confidence.
About halfway through regulation, and it is Fnatic saying, we are not going to make it easy for you. Holding off pretty well, and this is interesting to see how they play Royal Giant versus Royal Giant decks.
You know, it's weird we haven't seen a ton of Electro Wiz in 2v2 now. Most people opt to put in the Ice Wizard as well because it provides more utility, but you got to remember, the Inferno Dragon is usually, I'd say, 8 times out of 10 the response to most tanks in 2v2. So you'd think maybe Electro Wizard might come into play every now and then, especially with these drops in the river with the Royal Giant. The Inferno Dragon is always going to be in range.
Andrew, do you think it's because they know they're going to have a zap somewhere in their cycle?
Most likely, because you're always going to have, I mean, you're always going to have a zap between the 16 cards, but sometimes it's hard to get back around to that, and the Ewiz just provides so much with that stun.
If it can stay on the board for a long time as well.
Yeah. And this is a big push coming downhill for Fnatic.
Fireball to wipe out the Magic Archer in the back, get some damage on tower, and this is pretty well defended.
Yep, just a little sizzle from the Inferno Dragon, but not much. Basically at an even match right now. And getting decent fireball value if they can get back around to it. There it is.
You know, Andrew, thinking about the spaces that different cards take up in your deck, especially with 2v2, you have so many slots, but even then it's still critical. So you think about, you put the E-Wiz in, what do you take out? Maybe the Ice Wizard, but that slow is so valuable. Maybe the Magic Archer, but the piercing damage and distance is so useful.
Yeah, and I really think that is probably why it's just the other cards that you just mentioned add just a little bit more utility, and even the Flying Machine, just so much damage and such an awkward unit to try to defend against.
So here we are. It is Allegiance in sudden death overtime, having the right-hand tower down pretty significantly. If they can deal with this Royal Giant push effectively, they are in a very good spot to potentially win this game.
The other thing about the E-Wiz is there's that aspect to it of the dropping the E-Wiz right on top of units that we've seen a couple times in 2v2 end up working against the team with the E-Wiz. So maybe even just taking that small like temptation out of that damage that usually just ends up killing your E-Wiz. And that giant Skelly Bomb could be a problem here.
That Royal Giant does get a shot off onto Fnatic's tower, so we are now in a tower race. Who can get their spells down more quickly, and Fireball Log will be it.
Wow, Allegiance taking it in 3 games. Fnatic just not quite having it. Dion and Asuchini looking at each other after the match, knowing that it was right there within their grasp.
And that's been a lot of what this season has been like for Fnatic. Again, a very talented team, although a little bit inexperienced, and they did miss one of their main key players on the squad this season. Only having 3 on the team just created a kind of a dearth of options.
Yeah, and you see this incredible defense from Allegiance. It looks like it's going to be too much to handle, but they deal with it in stride. They take the damage that they need, and they adequately counter push. And now you see that fireball coming in, hitting the Magic Archer, and now it's all within spell cycle range. Allegiance taking the 2v2 set in 3 games.
Doing their math quickly, doing their math effectively, and setting themselves up with the advantage in 1v1. And this is where they have been fantastic as of late, picking up a lot of big-time wins. They're going to have Lupanji coming out once again, facing off against Fnatic's recent hero in Lemon Tea.
During the 1v1 battle, the atmosphere is electric. It's like an electro wizard rode in on a Sparky and collided with the Tesla during a lightning strike. That's pretty electric, guys. Lupanji and Lemon Tea, let the sparks fly in the 1v1 showdown.
1v1 about to get underway. Lemon Tea, while not having the most impressive record in this set, has come off with some pretty big victories. Lupanji, no stranger to this set himself.
Yeah, Lupanji having a ton of success in his last 2v2 sets. A lot going on in them, but he did come out on top. And then the 1v1 set before that, he may have lost, but then he swept in King of the Hill. So he is a great head-to-head player. And Lupanji, as Rich just mentioned, he's 2-2 in 1v1 sets with an overall record of 4-6. So we'll be very, very curious to see what he brings today to bring down Lupanji.
The bans active for all potential 3 games of our 1v1 set. Lemon Tea getting rid of Fireball, Lupanji choosing to ban P.E.K.K.A.
Yeah, so you wonder if the Royal Hogs will pop in, the Royal Ghosts will pop in. You wonder what exactly it means when you see a P.E.K.K.A. being banned.
Also potentially opening up for some big beatdown decks as well. So what will they choose? We'll find out right now in game number 1. Lemon Tea dropping out the crying skeleton top of your screen. Lupanji saying simply good luck at the bottom. So a card that's made a bit of a resurgence to competitive play in the last week and a half or so. It's the Bowler one more time. So wondering, is Lemon Tea potentially going with some form of Siege, as we saw in Razor's match on Saturday, or is he going with a Graveyard deck potentially?
Well, speaking with Lupanji before the match, they placed their opponents on playing a Graveyard deck, and you see he's most likely going to have, but it's not a Graveyard deck, it's going to be a Royal Giant deck. But Lupanji playing the deck that he has, you've got the minions in there, most likely going to have a P.E.K.K.A. or a Mega Knight, and there's the Mega Knight coming down. A lot of great responses to what he probably thought was going to be a Graveyard deck.
Lemon Tea probably not happy with the way that those guards situated themselves, not getting in front of the Royal Giant, and that leap is huge.
And that's the last thing you want to see once you commit that elixir to the Inferno Dragon to stop the opponent's tank coming down. You've basically allocated all your elixir, and Lemon Tea recognizing it. When that Electro Wizard comes down after you've played an Inferno Dragon defensively, and that's all you've got, you've basically forfeited the rest of the match.
And here we go, the Inferno Dragon getting lock on tower, gets the stage 2, down below 50%, so with a minute 30 left, it looks like Lemon Tea is going to be giving up game number 1 pretty handily to the Frenchman.
And Lemon Tea's got 952 HP and 1 game to bring back Fnatic into this match. Otherwise, it will be a clean Allegiance sweep.
You gotta wonder how much of that exchange was affected by those guards being played, and not just being played for 3 elixir, but being played just a half step too late.
Yeah, the guards, that interaction coupled with the Inferno Dragon Electrowiz interaction basically puts you at a -7 elixir trade. And that early in the game with a healthy Mega Knight coming down the lane with an Electrowiz behind it, that is too much for anyone to deal with, Rich.
And playing Bowler, when you see Mega Knight, when you see P.E.K.K.A., these big tanky cards that don't get moved by that big giant rock, very, very frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. And with 400 HP and the poison in, that is going to be it for Lemon Tea in game number 1. Is he going to adjust? Is he going to run the same deck back? You know, because it's not the deck or the matchup here was horrible. It was just his play in the beginning didn't fall the way that he needed it to.
Now here's a 20-second question, Andrew. Now that we're getting close to the end of the season,
gotta
every
fight
single
for it.
tower, every single game matters. So this 3 crown, if Lupanji could get it, might have tiebreaker implications. So we'll see, can he get it? Can he push to put Allegiance just a little bit better?
And Lemon T recognizing it. He knows how important it is for those 3 crowns, how much you do not want to fall behind in the crown race. And great recognition there, Rich. That's exactly what both these players, you saw Lupanji going for the kill. You saw Lemon T defending the 3 crown, just not having enough elixir, taking too much damage early on. And right here you see that Electro Wizard coming down. You look at his elixir bar, he's got 5 elixir, and there's so much already on the field. So a bowler comes in, but what's a bowler going to do against an Inferno Dragon and Electro Wizard? Miner comes in, resets everything, and that is going to be it.
Dominating performance by Lupanji, only taking a couple hundred hit points of damage on his right-hand side. So about as clean as one can play it. Game number 2, a very important one for both squads. Lemon Tea, again, trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. A loss here would probably mean the end for that. Lupanji looking to set his stamp on spot number 2. Game number 2 underway. Your card bans one more time, P.E.K.K.A. and Fireball.
Lemon T coming out with a good luck despite his luck not being so great in the first game, looking to bounce back right now. And you feel for him, Rich. I mean, that really, he was doing everything he could to defend. It was just not what he wanted to happen. And here's the deck. Lupanji, ALG, they were talking about this before the game, before the match. This is, in their mind, one of the strongest, if not the strongest deck in the entire game. It's very similar to that backstab graveyard deck with just a couple of small changes. And for an archetype or meta that looked like it wasn't going to be that relevant in CRL maybe 3 weeks ago, over the last 2, it has made a huge resurgence. And now looking like teams might be running a mirror match.
Very interesting here. I was playing Golem Night Witch this weekend and ran into this cannon cart variation of the Ice Wiz NATO graveyard deck. And it was punishing, Andrew. Every single time my Golem came across the river, it got eaten alive, and then cannon carts in the opposite lane.
Yep.
It was brutal from left to right.
Yeah, and you also hear most likely going to have both of these guys running it with the Barb Barrel now, because that chip damage that the log gives you is negligible when you have a Barbarian tanking for your graveyard for 7 elixir. It's a huge, huge offensive push for very cheap, and you see Lemon Tea opting to put that in there.
Look at that Barbarian Barrel played behind the King Tower, Andrew. I'm guessing here as a way to slow down the support troops for that graveyard push.
Yeah, figuring out the exact timing of how long it's going to take that Barbarian to pop out and walk up to meet your opponent's units at the river so they don't have a tank for their own graveyard. Very nice play by Lemon Tea.
So one of the strongest decks in the meta right now, if you've been playing your challenges lately, you've probably run into this a bunch of times and find it so frustrating that you are playing it yourself at this point.
Yeah, and a ton of damage coming down for Lemon Tea. It looked like it might be a mediocre push at best, but getting a lot of damage in on Lupanji.
And we're seeing again that tornado pull to the tower move.
Yeah, one of the absolute favorites by the pros here in CRL. Again, made pretty popular by backstab on CLG.
So the graveyard getting 1 hit to 3 hits so far. So reasonably productive graveyard play by Lemon Tea.
Yeah, and the Baby Dragon lock is a lot of damage, and now Lemon Tea in a great position of being able to play a strong defense and honestly try to spell cycle and graveyard him out. I mean, graveyard is a spell.
Trying to sneak the cannon cart through on that right-hand side, and this is the interesting wrinkle. You and I have discussed the Prince being here a lot in a more traditional version of it, but that cannon cart, especially if you are focused on one lane, can sneak through and change things in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, the range, you know, even though it has less health, the double, basically the double life there in case a Inferno Dragon does get locked on, it will reset where the Prince doesn't have that. Now the Prince does have the charge, but the cannon cart moves quicker and it has range. So most pros opting to play the cannon cart over the Prince despite the Prince's buffs and increased single target damage. It's really just about the utility that the cannon cart provides.
So Lemon Tea, again, just needed a couple skeletons to hit every single time this comes down, and he gets, I think, 1 hit I saw It might have been a second one, but I feel like it was just one. So now that we are in sudden death overtime, Lemon Tea still in the lead, but now another big cannon cart push coming on the right-hand side. Poison in response to the Graveyard.
Yep, and that bar barrel coming down just in time with the tombstone. Great defense from Lemon Tea there. Lupanji back against the ropes, figuring out how to defend this last 700 HP over the course of 2 minutes is going to be a lot to handle.
Well, he does seem to have the right idea, Andrew, making sure his Graveyard gets down and forcing the poison out defensively rather than offensively.
Yep, he's got that good poison in, the Baby Dragon with the cannon cart. A lot of great defense here. Taking just a little bit of damage.
Not too much, and this is what he needs to do, is just mitigate how much of those skeletons can actually get on tower each and every time.
Yeah, but he's got to continue, exactly, I was going to say, he's got to continue this opposite lane pressure so that he creates just enough elixir expenditure from Lemon Tea so that Lemon Tea can't just double down and just poison out this left lane.
And Andrew, it's important that it's opposite lane pressure, not just same lane pressure.
Exactly, because if somehow Lemon Tea defends very, very adequately and then has a counter push coming down your weaker lane, you've lost the game. And Lupanji and Lemon Tea both know this.
That seems to be a critical strategy element to a lot of decks, Andrew, knowing when to go opposite lane versus what decks benefit from being same lane.
Yes, and that cannon cart dying just in time so it was not able to get NATO'd to the tower was a huge, huge stroke of luck for Lupanji.
So a little bit of damage still coming in on the right-hand lane for Lupanji, but his tower now getting into very dangerous range. 45 seconds left. Lemon Tea needs to make sure he doesn't get overexcited here and push too hard.
Exactly, because with Graveyard, it's so easy to overcommit. Spending 5 elixir on just the Graveyard alone, you want to support it a little bit, but this is the idea. Very, very cheap offensive pushes. And now, with the cannon cart crossing the river, Lupanji having to play a ton of defense. So close, 20 seconds. Do you defend? Do you go for the draw? What do you do? And you got to imagine Lupanji here just wants to defend, and that Barbarian is on the tower. Oh man, he was so close to be able to defend it. Lemon Tea getting away with one. Great job keeping up the pressure and not getting overly excited, and overcommitting.
Well, and I think that's the big thing about that game, Andrew, was just how calm Lemon Tea was. Never trying to push too hard, not doing not being a horse to the barn, if you want to take that metaphor, and just slowly getting that tower into a place where he could take the game.
Well, you mentioned it at the exact correct time, Rich, was the moment where Lemon Tea could, or a less seasoned player would have really went for the throat, went for the kill, but instead he plays adequate defense. You see the Ice Wizard walking down the right-hand lane because it was defending. The Bar Barrel comes in, gets a hit. Great play by Lemon Tea to even up this 1v1 set.
So now 1 game for Allegiance, 1 game for Fnatic, and just 1 game left in this 1v1 set. Allegiance wants this one really bad to push for that number 2 spot. Good luck from Lemon Tea. Don't know if I saw a response from Lupanji.
Lupanji is laser focused right now, knowing that he needs to close this out for his team. Now, again, they are in a better position than Fnatic, but the loss today could mean huge implications for their playoff standings. And Fnatic kind of already knows the ship's kind of already sailed for them.
There are some scenarios for Fnatic. They are currently chasing SK and Team Liquid. They would need Team Liquid to beat SK Gaming, and then both of those squads to lose the rest of their matches, and hopefully by a significant margin to put them into a potential tiebreaker situation.
Yeah, so again, a lot needs to happen for Fnatic, and now looking at a potential mirror matchup, and that Mega Knight is on the tower. If that minion stays alive, wow, this is going to be huge. This is huge once again. Lupanji going back to his original deck. Lemon Tea so frustrated by this deck. It seems to be his kryptonite here, Rich.
It's just so frustrating dealing with that Mega Knight and Inferno Dragon at the same time. That can be a real bother. And as you said, the minions coming in and staying alive, that last one just by a little bit really changes a lot.
And Lupanji opting to go all in on that push, recognizing Lemon Tea's Electro Wizard, was out of cycle, knowing that the Inferno Dragon had to come down for Lemon Tea to defend. Lupanji just creating a very, very great push, recognizing his opponent's cycle and his opponent's deck and picking it apart.
Well, Andrew, mirror matches have a lot of interesting moving parts to them. Besides just the strategy of knowing how to play it correctly and making the right moves, you also get into a situation where you might think the starting hand is even more critical.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you recognize you're in the mirror match before your opponent does, and you have a better starting hand, knowing he doesn't have things like pumps, so you can do an aggressive minor minions push in the beginning, things like that, it just gives you obviously the advantage to be one step ahead of your opponent.
So Lemon Tea trying to take advantage of Lupanji kind of giving him this lane to a certain degree, but just a simple Electro is stopping what appeared to be a potential tower situation very, very simply.
Yeah, Lupanji also sitting in that minor, recognizing that he's already got a huge advantage. If he just plays all out on defense, this is his game to win and his game to lose, honestly. He is in the driver's seat.
And notice a big shift strategically here for Lupanji. Rather than going for the 3 crown, he goes, it's safer to play for the win here. The 3 crown is nowhere near as important as this game is right now.
And a great bandit placement by Lupanji to get brought over to the left-hand lane, still being aggroed, and now this was going to be a very, very quick Game 1 and Game 3 for Lupanji. Lemon Tea coming to life in Game 2, but just not quite having the formula that he needs to beat Lupanji today.
And Lupanji really has been fantastic in head-to-head play. His record doesn't quite show it the same way as you might think, now moving his overall head-to-head game record to 16-11.
Yeah, and he's 4-2 overall in 1v1 sets, with 3 1v1 sets in a row going in his favor. A big, big win for Allegiance. With G2 on the horizon, that second place spot is up for grabs.
And we'll get into those playoff picture notes in a couple of minutes. Lots of key issues for the standings now with Allegiance and G2 meeting this Saturday. So we'll talk about how important that is in just a moment. Right now you see Lupanji, though, giving the double thumbs up. And here we go. This was the big deciding moment of game number 3.
Yeah, recognizing that Lemon Tea's Electro Wizard is out of cycle, Lupanji opts to go all in on this very expensive push, and he sends in the minions immediately because he knows he needs something to take out that Inferno Dragon. A perfectly timed zap. The Bandit comes in, insult to injury. That Mega Knight Bandit combo is so brutal. Get that sizzle from the Inferno Dragon on top of it, and that is just way, way too much for Lemon Tea to handle.
Crunch time, end of the season, and Lupanji now with 3 1v1 set victories in a row. To hear more about how he's put together this fantastic run, let's go to him with Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. Lupanji, a clean sweep and, more importantly, an amazing place in the standings. You had 2 amazing wins with that Mega Knight deck. Is that your comfort deck? Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's one of my best decks right now. I played it in a ladder the last season. I reached the top 20 with it. And yeah.
You're amazing. That's all there is to say.
Yeah. Super.
Super. Well, thanks so much for talking to me. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. Big win for Allegiance, and for the moment, Andrew, in our standings, it moves them into spot number 2.
Yes, absolutely. We hop into the standings. As we said at the top of the day, a win would put them above G2. However, that is their next matchup, so tune in for that. That is going to be an absolutely insane matchup. And then Fnatic at 5-8 now, most likely out of playoffs. A rough season for them. Still a lot of great performances from their team.
This Saturday, as Andrew said, it will be Allegiance versus G2 facing off for that number 2 spot. Allegiance currently has the 1 match in hand, so a win against G2 would pretty much secure them that number 2 spot going into our playoffs. G2, though, does have the set advantage, so if they split the season, then G2 would be ahead of them overall in our playoff picture, so a big one. Make sure you are here on Saturday for that, but of course, the playoff picture is not set, and coming up next, we have a team that everyone knows that's making a push for the playoffs. It's Team Liquid facing off against Misfits.
1 match ends, and just like that, another begins. Next up, the last-placed Misfits battle 5th-ranked Team Liquid. Misfits are here for redemption and to spoil Liquid's playoff dreams. But Goblin's gang has their eyes on the top 4. Gentlemen, time to Clash Royale style.
Misfits looking for a pride win today. Their number 1 leader, Pepe, coming out strong. The CRL number 1 EU qualifier looking to add one more notch in his belt. And across from him, the Frenchman, Azilis, back from the home country, here to put in work for Team Liquid. Our second match of the day might not seem on paper like it's critical for our playoffs, but a win for Team Liquid will put them in a very important spot going into our final few days.
Yeah, Misfits coming up today to ruin the dreams and hopes of Team Liquid in the playoffs. We got Pepe, that one guy, Jose LC, and Reggae, and Team Liquid looking to come within striking distance, of SK Gaming. We got Diego B, Buffmac, Azilis is back, and Surgical Goblin.
Currently sitting in 5th place, as you saw a moment ago. Team Liquid a half game back behind SK with a win today, and they do play on Saturday. So that Saturday will be big for playoffs, but first they need to secure a victory today. Diego B has some insight as to how Team Liquid plans to do that. Let's hear from him with Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. Diego B, you've been doing some great work in the 2v2 lately. Tell me, how has your strategy, your communication changed since the beginning of the season?
Well, with me and Charlie, we've been practicing the communication at home, like replicating how it is here in the studio. So it's pretty good.
And tell me about the match today. Of course, huge for your place in the standings.
Yeah, so this match is really important. Right now, we can't really lose any of our last games. So winning this would put us closer with SK, which is what we want.
So which match are you most nervous about in the coming weeks?
Yeah, our match versus SK is the most important because we have to beat them to qualify into playoffs.
All right, well, thanks so much for talking to me. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. Big moments here for Team Liquid. Of course, they have a squad that's ready for big moments like this, but Misfits wants to get in their way, looking to win this one for pride for their squad. Let's hear how they get fired up by taking a look inside the war rooms.
Okay, guys. For today, against Liquid in 2v2, the bans are Fireball and Lava. We feel very comfortable with both of them. You got the decks, we talk about the order, so that's fine. And you know what to do. And Pepe, for 1v1, it's Poison and Infernal Dragon. Also what we talked before, just do it and wreck them as you did the other day. Just go for it. They have the pressure. We have no pressure. If they lost, they are really hard. Yeah, more or less. So enjoy this game. Be focused, relax, and go for it, guys. Let's do it.
All right, guys. So Misfits right now, they're at the bottom of the standings, but it's important not to underestimate. So let's get out there. Let's play our game. Let's be calm and collected. But most importantly, let's be confident. Right now, we're in a do or die situation. So let's get out there. And let's do it. Let's go Liquid on 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go Liquid.
Easy, chill. Calm down. Whoa. Tranquilo, way.
Nothing's more frightening than facing a charging army on the battlefield. One way to make it less frightening, bring a friend. Reggae and that one guy, Diego B and Buffmac, lock arms and head into battle, side by side. Let's do the 2v2.
I guess our liege never saw the ring. That thing had me freaked out for weeks, Andrew. But freaking out, no one here right now. Team Liquid, calm, ready for battle up against a Misfits squad looking to ruin their playoff hopes.
Yeah, that one guy, Andrege, coming out for Misfits with absolutely nothing to lose, everything to gain, getting ready for CRL season number 2. And then, of course, Team Liquid feeling the pressure, but still calm, cool, and collected is Diego B and Buffmac.
The 2v2 has been quite good so far. Let's look at the ban cards here for all potential 3 games. It's going to be Fireball and Lava Hound.
Yeah, Fireball and Lava Hound. We've seen both of these cards being banned quite a bit here in 2v2. That being open to the ground game, the beatdown game, and of course the Royal Giant.
Diego B and Buffmac have been fantastic. A record of 4-2 for the Englishman in this set. Can he add one more?
Let's go, boys.
Team Liquid's Buffmac, Diego B, top of your screen. That one guy and Reggae for Misfits at the bottom.
Yeah, and as you were saying, Buffmac is 4-2 in these sets, and that is the overall record of his combo with Diego B. Diego B and Buffmac are both 4-6 total in set wins.
The only player who appeared in this 2v2 set the last time these squads met was Reggae. That time his partner was Pepe up against Surgical Goblin and Azelis.
4 of 6, just to clarify.
So Golem for Misfits pushing into a P.E.K.K.A. and a Prince.
Yeah.
That's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, not a lot of fun there. Flying Machine far back, cleaning up those Golemites, and just out of range of their opponent's Flying Machine.
So it looks like Diego B and Buffmac choosing to go with a Golem stopping deck. I guess the big question will be the second piece of Misfits hardware, that balloon that might sneak in at some point, but with Tornado, with Cannon, with Rocket, you feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got all the counters in hand that they need against this deck that Misfits is running, so it's going to be really about how Misfits is going to, I don't know about catch them off guard, but kind of just change their strategy around based off of what Team Liquid has, having so many hard counters.
I think the big wild card here, Andrew, will be that Lumberjack for Misfits, just an ill-timed rage on the part, or well-timed rage for Misfits, but an ill-timed rage drop for Team Liquid could mean a quick tower.
Yeah, absolutely. You could, if they somehow have something taken for a balloon with the Lumberjack Rage up there, the balloon can sneak by as they're trying to do right now and steal a tower. But as you said a moment ago, Rich, there are so many counters for this balloon. Still not touched, however, and raged up, but just too many counters with the Ice Whiz, with the Cannon, so much.
A little death damage there, so it is a slight lead for the moment for Misfits.
Wow, and I was going to say, if those double Flying Machines lock on, that is going to be a ton of damage for Team Liquid to soak up.
A little bit off placement there on the Magic Archer by Misfits. The miner was already down, being on the outside. Could have lined that up for some tower damage, but they want that one back.
Yep, that's every single interaction counts, Rich, and every single one of those Magic Archer arrows does a ton of damage.
30 seconds left in regulation, things pretty much even, and despite having all the counters, does Team Liquid, they have not yet found a really dominant offensive strategy yet. And there they go. The cannon does not pick up on that balloon. So a Tornado, though, and there you go. Talking about all those counters, the cannon doesn't do its job. Tornado cleans up for it.
I'm still impressed that Misfits has gotten a decent amount of damage on that left side tower of Team Liquid with so many responses in hand. And now a King Tower activation, but double miners down on that Princess Tower of Misfits.
We are in sudden death overtime, and things looking a little closer than they might have appeared early on in this game. Misfits holding strong, and again, with that rage up possibility for a balloon, they could always sneak one through here.
And a lot of communication coming from the Team Liquid side of the podiums here. You heard Diego talking before the match about how his conversation or his communication with Buffmac has done nothing but improved over the last few weeks, and you can really see it in their gameplay here.
That rocket was perfect, and what we can hear them talking about is that they are already in spell cycle range. They're already planning on getting spells on that tower, so of course they need to play good defense, but they see the finish line and they are pushing for it.
Yeah, everything needs to be allocated towards defense right now, and then just throw that rocket down as soon as it's back in cycle. It looks like we're about 2 elixir away.
So Rocket will be coming down, 432 damage. None necessary, though, because the poison takes care of business. It is Team Liquid to the first game win.
Yeah, that Flying Machine connecting at the very end. They're kind of the cherry on top. The game already in hand, just waiting to get back around to that rocket. The game looked a lot closer than it actually was here. And now Misfits 1 game away from losing this 2v2 set. They need to take this from Team Liquid. Team Liquid here is a big force in the EU, and they want to stop them from making playoffs.
And this was the double miner that came down, and while you see that King Tower activation with the Tornado, it doesn't get both of those miners. The second one doing a lot of damage, kind of creating that big buffer that Team Liquid used to take the game victory. Again, a deck that had so many counters upon counters upon counters.
Yeah, I mean, the NATO in there, the double miners coming in, not picked up in time. Let's see if Misfits can bounce back here in game number 2.
All right, let's do this.
Good luck from Buffmac and Diego B. Some thumbs up. Ready for game number 2 is Team Liquid.
And Misfits, no response here. It looks like they're going to be running maybe a Golem and a P.E.K.K.A.
So this time it is Misfits with the P.E.K.K.A. in response to a Golem deck.
And you can see Team Liquid here is going to go with that traditional double Golem. We'll see if Misfits has the responses necessary in hand.
So one P.E.K.K.A certainly a problem for a Golem deck, although this one will get some damage on the tower. Andrew, so we're looking at this point, we're starting to see how strategy unfolds for 2v2. Double Golem versus a P.E.K.K.A. Is the idea to bait out a P.E.K.K.A on one side, go Golem the other lane?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it kind of work and fail in many different forms. So whether it's keeping the Golems in succession, one after the other, coming down the same lane, baiting out the P.E.K.K.A and then dropping a Golem on the other side at the river, or also just doubling down on the Golems in the same lane, which I actually think has been the most effective, especially once we get into double overtime. The first P.E.K.K.A or the only P.E.K.K.A of the opponents getting distracted, the second Golem making its way through usually. Interesting, though, with the Royal Hogs, they're going to be able to create a lot of opposite lane pressure, which you got to imagine Team Liquid does not want to deal with.
Those Fire Spirits, though, at only 2 Elixir, offer a lot of damage onto a Royal Hog single lane push.
Wow, and that perfect, I was going to say the perfect height with the Tombstone there to get the Golem and the Prince, but the Prince gets a charge and a couple of stabs with that Lance. A lot of damage in for Liquid on that left side tower.
So getting close to double Elixir time, it is Team Liquid with not only the advantage, but a King Tower activation.
So Liquid needs to just sit back for a few seconds, get their Elixir up to the top, and then get a double Golem push coming down. So based off the cards they have in hand, they're going to have to cycle just a couple. And you see the zap coming down for a cycle. A great Lumberjack there to clean up the Magic Archer.
And the Royal Hogs get taken care of quite nicely. That double cannon from the King Tower playing a big role in that moment.
Yeah, the King Tower with that buff a couple patches ago, having 2 of them in 2v2, that's a lot of damage to deal with.
So while the P.E.K.K.A is taking care of that Golem, does not take care of the Golemites, and that poison damage is pretty huge. So if Team Liquid can deal with this Royal Hog push on the left-hand side, they are in a very good position, but down to 850, so they still have to play defense there as well.
Yeah, their Fire Spirits of Team Liquid not quite doing what they wanted there. It looked like they may have all exploded, if you will, on one Royal Hog instead of the whole group of them, the whole lot of them. And another great defense here from Team Liquid. Now the tower in the bottom right is within rocket range, and there goes the rocket. And an easy sweep for Team Liquid, despite a good fight put up by Misfits.
Perfect synergy for the Englishman and the young man from Plant City, Florida. Diego B and Buffmac have really been fantastic. And it's very clear they are the 2v2 answer for Team Liquid.
Yes, absolutely. Diego B and Buffmac here now going 5 of 7 in their 2v2 sets, doing excellent, only losing 2. You got to imagine every team is going to lose at least 1. And now you see that Prince coming down, not getting picked up by all the Skellies in the Tombstone. However, the real magic is happening on the right side here. And this is kind of the story for Team Liquid throughout this entire game, Rich, was just excellent defense throughout, stopping those Royal Hogs, recognizing their Elixir and the spell damage that is going to come down, and taking that tower from Misfits.
So set number 1 in the books. Team Liquid now just 2 games away from being very close to SK Gaming. Of course, as we said before, winning this match so important, puts them just a half game behind SK, and that Saturday match could be very important, but Misfits has a chance right now to send this thing to King of the Hill for a second time against Team Liquid. Remember, they were the ones who beat Team Liquid for their first ever match victory. So let's see what happens as we get into 1v1.
It is extreme pressure that turns ordinary crystals into diamonds. It is also extreme pressure that transforms ordinary players into CRL legends. Pepe and Azealis. The 1v1 showdown is here, and the pressure is on. It's time to shine.
These 2 players have met before. Last time it was King of the Hill. Pepe came out on top. Azealis looking for revenge here in this 1v1 set.
Yes, Misfits taking their first and only season win over Team Liquid. Pepe coming out looking to repeat that exact same result. Azealis sitting out the last 2 matches, looking to bounce back and take this very quickly in 2 sets.
Our card bans for all potential 3 games of this 1v1 set. Misfits choosing to eliminate Poison. Team Liquid taking Inferno Dragon off the board.
Yeah, Inferno Dragon being off the board and Poison being off the board. You think about Golem Beatdown, you think about Lava Hound, and of course you also think about that graveyard.
Pepe looking to make magic strike one more time. Azealis looking for revenge.
Go Azealis.
Azilius for Liquid, top of your screen. Pepe at the bottom for Misfits. And it was Pepe who led off that King of the Hill set for his squad, taking out Azilius and Surge before falling to Diego B. And then that one guy stepping in to finish off Team Liquid and give Misfits, as you said, Andrew, their only win of the season.
Azilius here looking like he might be going with a traditional Golem beatdown style deck. I was going to say Lava Hound with a miner, tanking for those pups, ooh, and those bats doing more than Azilius wanted them to. I was going to say a deck that may pop in with these bans would be that Lava Hound deck with a miner tanking for it, with poison being off the board, but it appears we're going to go with a couple different options right now.
So it's the Flying Machine taking care of the baby dragon at the river.
And Azilius here not happy with having to allocate Elixir. He wants to get an advantage so he can golem up, especially if he can golem up in single Elixir.
Last time they faced off, Azilius ran 3 Musketeers Royal Hogs against Pepe's Minor Poison Mega Knight deck. And it was a flawed kite at the end. Azilius fell behind early on. Pepe took a nice lead. Azilius battled back to within about 450 HP, and then he tried to kite the Mega Knight across the board, and that opened up for the Mega Knight and a Bandit to get on tower and finish it off for Pepe to take that victory.
Wow. Yeah, those very, very small misplays can be everything. And now with Azilius getting a strong push here, Pepe's going to have to play a good amount of defense, and then this might be the moment for Azilius to golem up.
Pepe, though, playing this fast deck, it's one of those ones where when you're playing Golem, it's so frustrating trying to find an opportunity to get it on the board.
Yeah, and you can see Azilius slightly frustrated there, that Flying Machine just barely making it out alive, getting a couple more shots in, just keeping the pressure up, and now you got to think he's going to throw a Golem in front of that Night Witch, but first he has to play defense.
And that's the thing about this bridge spam deck, especially with how quickly that battle ram can get to your tower. You golem up at the wrong time just once and it's tower down.
And Pepe doing a great job knowing that that Night Witch is the biggest menace here, and he gets it out of the way as soon as possible. Fireballs and barb barrels galore.
And this is a frustrating matchup for Azilius now with the P.E.K.K.A. in this deck.
Yeah, and that was actually an excellent Fireball NATO combo, cleaning up the Flying Machine and the Magic Archer, creating way for the Golem. However, as you said, Rich, with that with that P.E.K.K.A. and the Electro Wiz, a lot of answers for this beatdown.
So we are entering into sudden death overtime, and it is Pepe with a slight lead and a lot of tools to just keep the pressure on Azilius. Need to find a way to defend efficiently and open up an opportunity for that goal.
And guys, if you're running a deck that is similar to Pepe's, recognize what he's doing. Every single time Azilius drops that Night Witch, he allocates a Fireball towards it to hit the tower and hit the Night Witch, because the moment that that Night Witch is healthy enough to stay behind the Golem and continue to spawn those bats is when Pepe gets in trouble, not having a ton of air responses.
Nice Magic Archer play from the Misfits representative, the Italian, acquitting himself very well here.
Ooh, and a big push coming in here for Pepe.
And that NATO does not do its job. That will be it.
Yeah, that was a very, very well played game by Pepe, staying very calm and collected, figuring out exactly what Azilius' deck was, keeping the pressure up so he couldn't get a Golem down when he wanted to. You saw that moment when Azilius threw out that angry face. You knew he wanted to Golem up right then. However, that Flying Machine creating just enough of a response. And right here you see that very first Golem P.E.K.K.A. interaction, the Fireball coming in. Amazing value for Azilius, but still not quite enough. And Pepe keeping the pressure on right here, Rich.
2 Tornado misplays, the failed King Tower activation earlier, and then this not pulling the Royal Ghost, although it might have been game over at that point anyway. And you got to wonder, with the 2 matches out and away from CRL, maybe a bit of ring rust here for the Frenchman.
I mean, that could be very, very relevant here, Rich. And also that first NATO, those bats doing more than they wanted, things not falling the way that Azilius wanted here in game number 1.
Thank you. Let's go, Azilius.
Game number 2 underway. Azilius wishing good luck to his opponent. Luck was in the favor of Pepe last time with a fairly favorable matchup.
Yep, and now Azilius with those Spear Goblins immediately, I think, some sort of bait deck. And similar to the Mortar bait deck that I'm running right now, but he's actually got a Hog Rider. Interesting. So it could still be Mortar. We've seen that Mortar Hog Rider combo for a while. A great way to create a lot of pressure up front and in the back.
Goblin Gang, a nice answer to that Ram. Although now with that barrel sliding in front of the P.E.K.K.A, this is a lot to deal with for Azelis.
Ice Skull coming out for Azelis. Not quite kiting, I think, the way he wanted, but doing an adequate job.
So first minute coming to a close, and it is again Pepe taking the early lead.
Had Azelis played that Ice Golem one more tile to the right, it probably would have pulled the P.E.K.K.A across the map, and he would have actually had to play the Spear Goblins. The Spear Goblins did come down first, though.
Azelis being patient, maybe a little overly patient with such a low cycle deck, although he wanted to catch that flying machine with the bats.
Nice Ice Golem there to pick up the Magic Archer. A heads-up play by Azelis to keep more damage off of his tower.
But as soon as that next one goes down, and yes, here we will go 2 shots already. So it is Azelis with now no longer the lead, but still a very tight game. And Pepe, having that P.E.K.K.A, does have a good answer to the Hog Rider, but only if it's Insight.
Yep, and that Fireball is going to be great value for Azelis, and those bats are going to do a ton of damage.
That was a big opening, now down at 209, not quite in Fireball range yet, but Azelis in a pretty comfortable position. And again, with these quick troops, lots of damage can be done, and we have not seen the spells. We haven't seen any true spells from Pepe yet, only the Barbarian Barrel. So not sure what his responses are, and a little BM here. Good luck, Dab. Try to get past my Inferno Tower.
Yeah, not a very good position for Pepe to be in. He does have the Electro-Wiz, but you know Azelis is going to focus on distracting that Electro-Wiz. The Magic Archer played up high, immediately cleaned up, and that was an excellent exchange by Pepe. Wow, I'm thoroughly impressed by that.
But no spell here to clean that up, but the P.E.K.K.A gets on tower, and maybe a little early here, the celebration from Azelis.
Yeah, I mean, Pepe saw Azelis put that Inferno Tower down early, then it created a position for him to kind of, all right, I'm going to figure out exactly how I want to create this offensive push. I'm going to clean up the Inferno Tower with a Magic Archer and a Fireball. Your units are all clumped together, and he ends up creating a massive, massive turn in the game.
So while the tower was in Fireball Zap range, now in Sudden Death Overtime, Azelis goes from dabbing to playing for his life.
He is just moments away from what felt like taking the game, now in a position to lose the set.
Although lots of Fireball value there, getting King Tower, Princess Tower, and the Magic Archer.
Great job by Azelis there, getting units in front of that Electro Wizard, distracting it from that Inferno Tower.
So things very tight here. The big question will be, how does Pepe continue to deal with the quick Hog Riders coming down? And Azelis now kind of buckling down a little bit, getting some big moments, so he needs to play clean here, but he does have the advantage.
Yeah, a ton of spell value for Azelis. Pepe dropping his P.E.K.K.A down in the very bottom right, trying to create a big downhill push, recognizing this is probably going to be his last chance.
So I wonder if we'll see the E-Wiz on the opposite side of that tower once things start getting across the river here, and there we go.
So Pepe's got to get a ton of spell value, or excuse me, a ton of value out of his Fireball and his Magic Archer right now, and it looks like Azelis might be in a horrible, horrible position, and that is going to do it. If that P.E.K.K.A can get on the tower, yep, and that's it.
There we go, and it is Pepe taking the victory. The dab may be a little bit early here. Great play by the Italian to once again send his squad into King of the Hill against Team Liquid.
Yeah, and it looked like what happened there was Azelis saw the P.E.K.K.A coming down, so he places the Inferno Tower, thinks he's got a massive advantage. However, he kind of showed his cards a little bit early, giving Pepe an opportunity to respond. So you see the Fireball coming in, cleaning up the Spear Goblins and the Inferno Tower after the Magic Archer has weakened it enough. All the units distracted, the P.E.K.K.A still there, very, very healthy, and on the tower, 2 swings. P.E.K.K.A doing it again on the other side of the map. A great amount of spell value from Pepe with the Barb Barrel. Flying Machine up high, Electrowiz up high, and again, the P.E.K.K.A on the tower. Great plays from Pepe.
You know, you got to wonder if that 4 elixir spent on the Hog Rider was 4 elixir ill-placed. That P.E.K.K.A barely got that swing off, and that was a very healthy tower he had on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I mean, Azilius had to have been praying that Pepe would have just completely ignored that Hog to send it down the lane. As you said, a waste of 4 elixir that he could have allocated for defense, still having the Hog Rider in hand to cycle as soon as he played the defense. Probably a bit of a misstep in hindsight.
So here we are for the second time between Misfits and Team Liquid going to King of the Hill. Each player will put up their 3 representatives. Each representative gets 1 chance. The first to 3 takes the set and the match, and a very important one here for Team Liquid. Let's see both squads' plans when we go inside the war rooms.
Yeah, the rest are gonna be one Jose, trusting you, just be safe. Pepe, you're a beast. You destroyed them the other time the King of the Hill. You have just won the 1v1. And you're really good in King of the Hill, Reggae. You are doing great. Forget about the past. Enjoy this. And if the King of the Hill goes to you, you will win it.
All right, boys. 2 matches ago, Diego got a sweep. Last match, Charlie, bah, sweep. Surge, it's your turn, bro. You got this.
Oh, sure.
Look at that lineup. You guys, extremely confident, you guys, in the 1v1. You guys got this. Let's get out there. Let's show them what we got in the King of the Hill, and let's make this our 3rd King of the Hill win. Let's go Liquid on 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go Liquid!
The playoffs are now only days away, and time is running out to reach the top 4. Will Team Liquid dig in their heels, or will Misfits spoil everything? Only one way to find out. King of the Hill.
Once again, we reach the final set between these 2 squads. It is King of the Hill. First team to eliminate all 3 takes the match victory.
Absolutely, and it was Misfits coming out on top last time. We got Jose LC kicking things off, Pepe in the middle spot, and Reggae closing it out, and Surgical Goblin coming back into King of the Hill. He's 1 in 5, looking to even out that record. Buff back in the 2nd position spot, and Diego B to close out Team Liquid's lineup.
The same bans will be active for all potential 5 games. It is Misfits taking care of Poison and Liquid getting rid of Tornado.
Yeah, with only spells out of the game, you wonder what that means about the cards in play unit-wise and what they're going to take advantage of with both of those spells, very powerful spells, being out of play.
Misfits looking to spoil the playoff hopes of Team Liquid. Surgical Goblin leading off for his squad. Team Liquid, Surgical Goblin, top of your screen. Jose LC for Misfits at the bottom, and it was a 2v2 sweep for Liquid, a 1v1 sweep for Misfits. Lots of potential sweep artists on the board for these squads.
Yep, and immediately you see those Royal Hogs coming into play with NATO being out of play.
So as mentioned in the war rooms, Buffmac already has that big King of the Hill sweep over Allegiance. And right now, it's Surgical Goblin looking to get that big sweep for himself. King of the Hill has not been his best set here so far.
You know, despite being one of the best 1v1 and head-to-head players in the entire world, he has struggled in King of the Hill, and a lot of that has to do with, you know, matchup starting hand. You can't game your opponent. It's much easier to take games in sets.
So Jose choosing to pump up. The Fireball will take care of that. And look at that Inferno Dragon releasing, and it will be picked up by the bats.
Yep, and you know, seeing that pump come down with the cards that Jose has in play, you can imagine to see a 3 Musketeers Royal Hogs deck. And then for Surge, you got to think he's probably got a Lava Hound in that last position, maybe to you know, the Miner to tank for it. Also could be
Miner Balloon is a possibility here. A lot of damage from those Royal Hogs on the left-hand side, so the pump paying off for Jose LC. Surgical choosing to hold back his Elixir right now and prepare for the next push.
Yeah, already calling good game early on. Now you got to imagine this is the moment where Surge is going to kind of go all in, getting a full Elixir bar here, losing his Princess Tower. He's got to dedicate all his attention to one side of the map.
So might be Lava Miner. He has not had a chance to play a big card like that, so that could be a reason. But no, it is minor balloon.
Yep, just as you called, Rich, and that balloon coming in. A great miner getting into tank for the balloon and as well get some damage on that pump. And the balloon still connects.
The balloon does connect, but down to only 47 seconds left, so Surge has to pick up the pace here to get back in this one. A very valuable snowball played by Jose LC as well.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, you know Jose is going to get those Three Musketeers down now, having the elixir, having not a lot of time left, needing to get the damage in, and once again, a great snowball by Jose LC.
So we do get some death damage there, but with these Royal Hogs and a healthy miner still in, this looks like it will be it for Surgical Goblin. The right-hand tower in danger of falling as well. And there you go, his King Tower, a 3-crown win for Jose LC. Big time spot for the young man from Cordoba, Spain.
Yeah, dominant here, a dominant showing, here for Jose LC. Surgical not having the answers in hand. You did call it with that miner balloon deck, and he had the miner to punish the pump, the fireball to punish the Three Musketeers, but he did not have the greatest defensive responses to these Royal Hogs. You see that Tombstone coming in, but the 2 spells by Jose, very, very nicely chosen. That snowball he used a lot, and with a lot of effect.
And you wonder if Jose potentially put Surgical Goblin on a balloon at some point, and that was part of that snowball being the only true spell in his deck.
Well, right, yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, the Elixir Pump is more of a building card. But yeah, it's just one of those things where the snowball was all that he needed. It did all the damage that was necessary in stopping that balloon of Surgical Goblin.
Really fantastic play by the Spaniard for Misfits. So once again, looking to spoil the playoff hopes, out to an early lead in King of the Hill. Buffmax stepping up for Team Liquid and a record of 3-1 in King of the Hill. Of course, we mentioned that sweep over Lupanji, Doberman, and Wiko, so he is more than capable of taking care of business in the third and final set.
Yeah, Surgical called it before that game, or before that King of the Hill match where Buffmac went crazy. He's like, Charlie, you can sweep this entire set, and he did exactly that for Team Liquid.
So far, Buffmac going small, showing some bait.
Yep, and it looks like Jose LC here looking to go with a beatdown style, and we got Buffmac with a bait style deck. So bait against beatdown has a lot of potential in single elixir, but then usually ends up slipping in double elixir. Now with that hog coming in with the barrel, you've got to think Buffmac has a very, very strong single target troop, whether it's a mini P.E.K.K.A. or something like that in his hand.
And that was a huge play there, taking that right-hand tower down to 653. This time it's Jose LC giving the early good game.
Well, because Buffmac here has such a great way of creating a ton of pressure for cheap, whether it's the Princess at the River, whether it's the Dark Goblin at the river, whether it's the Bar Barrel tanking for the Goblin Barrel, or just sending in the Hog Rider. All of these things keep it from Jose LC being able to golem up. And now that he's going to golem up with 4 elixir in hand, I was going to say you're going to see Buffmac push the opposite lane.
Although that Lumberjack is a welcome sight for Jose LC on defense, preventing a lot of that damage from getting on tower.
Yeah, now a very interesting position because you've got probably a Baby Dragon or a Night Witch coming in behind the Golem. The Inferno Tower, though, really being a frustrating card for Jose to see unless he has, no, there's no way he has a Lightning.
Yeah, no, but that Fireball Lightning very, very much not going to be in play unless he's going with, we've seen some interesting deck constructions here, but definitely not enough Elixir for it either. Maybe a Zap, maybe a Log.
Yeah, it could be a Zap, but this this bait deck just really keeping the pressure up. You'd imagine if it was a Log, he would have used it by now.
And if it was a Zap, he would have seen it on that Inferno Tower.
Exactly.
So right-hand tower down to 68, Buffmac out to a strong lead, and this is where you want to be playing bait against gold.
Man, and that was, you saw the Tombstone coming down as an attempt at defense, but Buffmac kind of going all in, and both towers fall for Jose LC at the exact same moment, and the King Tower now in danger of getting 3-crowned.
And so we see the final spell is a clone. Jose LC looking for some trickeration, does not get a chance to pull it off.
Yeah, just the worst possible matchup here for Jose in the sense of trying to play a Golem clone deck so much elixir needed to be spent, and now getting that 3 crown back from game number 1 in King of the Hill is Buffmac.
And now, as we mentioned that earlier, since Team Liquid very well might be in a tiebreaker situation when it comes to making the playoffs, getting that 3 crown back does help. If you're talking about the playoff structure, okay, let's go this replay first. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, you see the Hog Rider coming in, tanking for that Goblin Barrel, an obscene amount of damage, knowing what Jose has in hand. Ideally, I mean, the only card that Buffmac probably couldn't have placed him on immediately was the Clone Spell, but it wasn't a non-factor. You saw every single time that Jose tried to make an offensive push, Buffmac would go on the opposite lane, and taking both the towers here, that Princess shot doing just enough splash damage. Really, really tough matchup for Jose LC. He needed to play a little bit more efficient defense early on, play a little bit less aggressive.
Big win for Buffmac in this spot, but up next has been the man who's the spoiler so far for Team Liquid, Pepe, stepping up for Misfits. So to continue that thought, Andrew, about the tiebreaker rules, of course, the first thing for a tiebreaker is the match history between the 2 squads. Did you split? Did someone take 2? If you did split, then we go to total set differential. What is your plus and minus on sets won and loss? Then your plus and minus on games won and loss. And then the final 4th tiebreaker is total towers killed. So it's unlikely we get to that point, but getting that 3 crown might be valuable at the end of our season.
Absolutely. I mean, and it also keeps our players, our athletes, having to fight for every last inch, never being able to give up on a game. And also, if you see that 3 crown in sights, you got to go for it, because you never want 1 crown. Not a game, not a set, but 1 crown to be the reason that you do not go to Tokyo, Japan and play in that World Finals.
So again, Buffmac with the Fire Spirits, a very cheap response to Royal Hogs when they do connect correctly, and there they did.
Yes, I was going to say, this looks like that annoying Furnace Royal Giant deck we've been seeing in ladder and grand challenges. I think I actually just lost to one in a grand challenge, Rich.
He did. He was complaining about it to me.
It was very frustrating. And it is a very good deck. You know, a lot of synergy there. You get the guards in front of the Royal Giant to suck up a lot of that direct ground damage, and then you also have the Electro Wiz there to stop the Inferno Dragons, and then, of course, the Furnace producing those Fire Spirits to clean up all the squishy troops.
That Magic Archer, though, could be a nice response to that Furnace as time goes on. There you go, taking out not just some Furnace damage, but also some of those Spirits that were then just put out.
Yep, and then you got another set of the 2 elixir cost, 3 Fire Spirits coming out to meet those Royal Hogs of Pepe. Very frustrating for Pepe here. Buffmac playing great defense.
You see Furnace a reasonable amount. It's not overused. Maybe a little underused, but you do see it. You don't see Fire Spirits as much, and I think it's because while they do a ton of damage, and if used properly, really counter some very valuable cards, some high-cost cards, they also come with a lot of risk.
Yeah, because if for some reason they go off or explode not in the way that you thought they would, only hitting 1 troop instead of maybe a group of Royal Hogs, you lose a lot of value. But yeah, those Fire Spirits doing an insane amount of value in exchanges, like with a Minion Horde, per se. You know, that's a 2 for 5 elixir trade.
Talk about value, though, Andrew. Look at that Electro Wiz doing so much to create room for the first Royal Giant and for the second Royal Giant to get on tower.
And Buffmac really putting the pressure on, recognizing those small misplays, recognizing that Pepe wasn't able to get to the Electro Wizard, doubled down on that left-hand lane, and now is in a commanding lead.
So chooses to put the Furnace behind that left-hand tower, and it seemed a little bit risky there, but it does continue to put that pressure on that side, and he did defend effectively on the right.
Yeah, now there's no way for Pepe to get good spell value, taking the Furnace out of play. He can't play the Magic Archer up high, and this does, as you said, keep up the pressure on that left-hand tower. And that Fire Spirit jumping through, huge.
And this is going to be it. Log will come down in just a moment, and that will be the end here with the Furnace picking up that Royal Hog push. Buffmac getting the 2nd win, and now 1 win away from his 2nd sweep here. trying to be the two-time hero for Team Liquid.
Yeah, that would be 6 in a row in King of the Hill for buffmac. And as you've heard his team talk many, many times, they have a ton of faith. And this is that moment where you see the Electro Wizard getting way too much value for buffmac if you're Pepe. And then you see Pepe play the desperate tombstone, the bats on top, so much elixir being spent, and that Magic Archer just not really mattering on the right-hand side of the board. buffmac taking out Jose LC, taking out Pepe, and now Drege coming up for his team, having to take out buffmac and Diego B if they want to take this match.
Reggae has been the best guy in King of the Hill for his squad at 5-3, looking to finish this thing off for Misfits.
Let's go, Charlie.
Game number 4 of King of the Hill. Good luck from both players, and so far, let's be honest, buffmac has not needed a ton of luck.
Yeah, buffmac here being a dominant force in King of the Hill, now 5-1 overall in sets, looking to take that 6th victory, and it also looks like he's going to be running that bait deck that has been very popular lately. It's just going to be interesting to see whether we see the Prince, the Rascals, the Cannon Cart. What will we be seeing?
And that's a pretty valuable Magic Archer right there.
Yeah, the Magic Archer is actually a great counter for the Princess.
A fairly well-timed Electro Wiz. The Barbarian Barrel. Really, Andrew, has just been such a wonderful surprise in this recent update.
Yeah, it's always really nice when you see a card that's been basically forgotten or placed by the wayside, and then you see a slight buff. Even with the Snowball, we've seen it pop up more here in 1v1 and 2v2 since the last balance update. But the Barbarian Barrel is actually truly the MVP of the balance update. We thought it was going to be the Ice Wizard getting that increased slow time, but, you know, Ice Wizard was already pretty OP. It already found itself in a lot of decks. The Barbarian Barrel, however, now making a big resurgence, or not even resurgence, just showing up in CRL.
That was a lot that just came out at once. The Barbarian Barrel and a P.E.K.K.A. on that Hog Rider, so definitely not the combination you want to see playing what buffmac has in his hand.
Yeah, and now with this P.E.K.K.A. coming in, that's a lot to deal with. He does have the guards. Maybe if he can get him back in cycle. It doesn't look like it. Wow.
No, his elixir is all the way down.
Yeah.
Now choosing to go opposite lane with the Princess. buffmac was in a very tough spot in that moment. Did not pay off for him.
Yeah, he went a little too hard and heavy in the left side of the map there, and Reggae had all the answers. That P.E.K.K.A. cleaning up everything that he sent in and getting a ton of counter push potential.
And this combination here, look at how perfect that defense was. The Barbarian Barrel taking care of the Goblin Barrel and getting in the way of the Hog Rider, but with the Eva's and Magic Archer, not even really necessary.
Yeah, and a very expensive defense, but Reggae, knowing what buffmac's win conditions are, just needs to keep a couple things in cycle, a couple things in mind. And however, he did not have the elixir he needed to keep up with that left side, probably allocating just a little bit more to the right than he wanted.
And that Fireball just a bit behind the Hog Rider, helping it get on tower. So now just at 200 HP, interesting choice to go with the Goblin Barrel there when a Fireball would take care of that on its own. You think he might have barreled on the right-hand side.
Yeah, maybe he was just trying to save the Fireball in case something horrible was going to happen on the right-hand side. He did it defensively, but it ended up working out for him in the moment. But this is way too much on the tower, and buffmac saying it. Well played, good game. And now, game 5 of King of the Hill, Rich. Drege coming out against Diego B. That puts him at 6-3 in overall record for King of the Hill here.
Wow, this is fascinating. First 2 games taken by Misfits, and then it's buffmac nearly getting the reverse sweep, and it comes down to a somewhat surprising game number 5.
Yeah, and you see the excitement from Reggae here. We heard the slap on the podium. We weren't sure if it was frustration or excitement, and it was Reggae recognizing, I have got you where I want you. I've got your number, friend. And then you see here, it's just too much for buffmac to deal with. He does drop the Princess in the back to try to mitigate some of the damage. But now, Reggae moving to 6-3 in King of the Hill, coming up against Diego B, who's 4-4.
Just the deck matchup there. We want to talk about that more a little bit later. That was just perfect, a real tough spot there for buffmac, but now Diego B looking to get back in the win column on King of the Hill and secure this thing for Team Liquid.
Go, Diego.
The 5th and final game. Pride on the line for Misfits, playoff hopes on the line for Team Liquid. and it all comes onto the shoulder of their frequent closer, Diego B.
Yeah, and you talk about the matchup in that very last game, Rich. Reggae having a great response. You were talking about that Hog Rider coming in with the Goblin Barrel. The Goblin Barrel getting cleaned up by the Barbarian Barrel, and then that Barb popping out and focusing on the Hog Rider is an incredibly cheap response to a 7 Elixir offense. You'll take some damage, a couple Hog hits, but you will really, really create a strong counter push potential and an Elixir advantage.
So looking like Lava Loon for Diego B. And again, it's that Battle Ram coming out for Reggae.
And that Magic Archer being distracted by the Lava Loon, or the Lava Hound, right before it was able to target the Tombstone, making it so that Royal Ghost became basically useless. And an excellent Fireball for Reggae.
About as much value as you can get in that situation with that Fireball. So while it looked like trouble for Reggae, the Fireball cleans it up, and now he is in a big counter push.
Yeah, that makes it so you have to create a defensive response in Diego B, knowing that Reggae is low in Elixir, saying this is going to be a lot for you to deal with, man.
Yeah, taking an opening and getting on tower, so that's one drop, and we don't quite get the second.
Misses the Fireball. That is a huge moment. You see Diego taking a stand up at his podium, recognizing that was something that he could not afford to have happen.
And that missed Fireball might be the game changer for this entire final one, and might be the one that seals this for Misfits.
Absolutely. I mean, Diego was lucky he got that damage in early on, but that missed Fireball has got to be super frustrating. You see the anger face coming out, knowing that that could be everything. And Rich, in a team in Misfits that's only found victory once this season, Liquid seems to be having a really, really rough time.
Yeah, again, not the result people would predict here, but Misfits very proud. They are not one to roll over and lie down, and they are in a situation now where they could change the entire outlook of the European region for playoffs.
Absolutely. They could destroy Team Liquid's chance at playoffs, and this is a huge Lava Loon push coming in right now. This could be everything.
And pushing the balloon just the direction you didn't want, so the death damage, though, might be enough to get it in range down to 205. Not quite in Fireball range here,
and
so the Zap puts it within touch.
So now Diego B breathing a little bit of life back into this very last Game 5 King of the Hill. Everything riding on this moment. Liquid has got to take the victory here, Rich.
And you have to imagine that SK Gaming is watching this very, very closely, considering the position these two squads are in right now. Again, a win for Liquid would put them in a place where that game coming up on Saturday is a swing game. A loss here would give SK a nice game-and-a-half cushion.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of Elixir on the field for both players here, but Drege having just a bit of an advantage, and now we're going to see if that Flying Machine is going to be able to clean up that Tombstone in time. It's not. It's going to move its way around the P.E.K.K.A. Everything falling in Rege's favor this game. Diego B has got to be so frustrated with the way that things have been happening.
But this balloon could sneak through here just as those pups open up, so the E-Wiz needs to slow that balloon way down to prevent...
I was going to say, he needs that Fireball coming in just in time. This is an incredible match.
So tense, so many back and forths. We are now about a minute through sudden death overtime, and every single swing matters.
Wow, this is absolutely insane. You know that Diego wants to go hard in the pocket, I was going to say, but he doesn't want to overcommit. And now if another Electro-Wiz can come down, this could be huge. A perfectly timed Fireball.
But that death damage takes it down to 453, so Rege needs to be very, very careful here. Diego needs to not overcommit. These next few moments will hold everything.
This
the Barbarian
is
nearly escapes.
Not a lot of ground response. He's got to get it back to the Tombstone. Is he going to get it in time? No, he's not. Barbarian's on the tower. No, just the battling ram. Wow.
And the E-Wiz in the back. So this is it, everyone. If that balloon can get there, it does not. Death damage, but the Fireball coming in, that might be it. Yes, it is.
And Liquid is flying over the seats of their bench. They get Misfits. It looked like they had their number, but Diego B never giving up despite that early frustrating misplay. Liquid comes out on top, and you gotta think SK Gaming is wishing that went a little bit differently.
Wow, what an unbelievable finish. Just it's moment. It's literally one tile over and over and over again. and you looked at Reggae was playing great defense against that balloon, but just one difference in death damage could have been the end of Team Liquid's playoff hopes, or at least pretty close to the end.
Now you gotta wonder if at the very end there, Reggae was trying to get a little too fancy, saving maybe his fireball, opting to let the Magic Archer just clean it up, taking the death damage, thinking he was probably gonna have to save the fireball for himself to take the tower. However, should have played defense, should have been safe, not sorry, and Reggae losing that. And as you see, the missed fireball from Diego early on changes the favor of the entire match, changes the weight, the momentum, everything. Somehow Diego still bounces back here, and this is what I'm talking about. He uses the Magic Archer and the 2 towers. He should have played the fireball if he had it in hand to push it away, Rich. Obviously spending a little bit extra on defense, but this probably wouldn't have happened in that sense.
You know, I'm wondering, Andrew, if you can see that replay one more time, because I was watching the elixir bar of Reggae, and it seemed like he might have hit 4 elixir when the balloon was a little bit too low and too close. So let's take a look when that balloon comes in the pocket.
4 here, and he's going to drop the Magic Archer up high. It turns around, he's at 3. And if he gets it down right there, it still goes back, Rich. It still does. I think he would have been able to do it. Now, obviously, this is slowed down. We are watching from the booth. Hindsight is 2020. I think the fireball would have saved Reggae and then maybe been able to take the match, but Diego B taking it home for Team Liquid.
Fantastic performance coming through in the clutch, keeping his squad's playoff hopes alive as we begin our final 2-week push. So let's go to Christy St. John, who's standing by with Diego B.
I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel like I just had one. So, I don't know, I feel really happy. I was really nervous, and I'm so happy that I won, though.
Yeah, I mean, that missed fireball early on, I thought that would change the tide of the game, and you brought it back. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I had the fireball. It was going to hit the tower and the flying machine, but the balloon died, so the flying machine moved like a second after, which was unlucky, and I couldn't defend the ghost because he was still going to take my tower, so I just left it.
And then, did you know that you were going to win? When did you know that you had it back, or did you ever?
Well, I knew I could take his first tower because I got it pretty low. And then for the second game, I knew the balloon death damage and the fireball was enough, but it was really hard.
Man, congrats. Good game, good win, playoffs hopes, feeling alive and well. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. Just unbelievable. What a crazy finish here to a crazy match. And this is important because it does put Team Liquid into a big position with their upcoming match next Saturday, or this upcoming Saturday, with SK Gaming.
Yeah, we hop in and we see that they are not actually ahead of SK Gaming with the win, but they are within a half of a game. And with that 4th position spot on the line, you know Liquid needs to buckle down. Misfits, 1-11, couple matches left. Let's see if they can crush any more dreams.
And talking about that playoff picture, again, it's that number 4 spot puts you right on the bubble. Of course, you still have to win 1, 2, 3 matches to make your way all the way to the World Finals in Japan.
Absolutely, and those World Finals will be taking place, as Rich just said, in Tokyo, Japan, December 1st. We'll be there. You can join us. Go in-game to your news tab and figure out how.
And you can follow all the action for these last couple of weeks by hitting subscribe on the Clash Royale Esports YouTube page. Don't forget to ring that bell to get your notifications. Go to esports.clashroyale.com for standings and other information. And of course, there is the Esports tab in your Clash Royale app. We'll be back on Thursday, October 11th with another big matchup, SK Gaming facing off against the leaders team, Queso. And don't forget, this Saturday is going to be the big Battle Royale. You have Team Liquid against SK Gaming. You have G2 facing off against Allegiance. So we will see the playoff picture pretty much fall out over these next 2 match days. For Andrew Guy, I'm Rich Slayton. What a day. We'll see you on Thursday back in the arena.
Bye.
My dear subjects, we have come to the end of yet another exciting day in the Clash Royale League. The action grows more intense as the playoffs near, and though these guys play it cool, the pressure's on. Soon, 4 teams will fight for the European crown and a trip to the World Finals in Tokyo on December 1st. I've already booked my balloon to fly there. Will you come too? Let's all go. Until then, subscribe to the Clash Royale Esports channel, and remember, if the Dart Goblin challenges you to a game of darts, just walk away. He's trying to hustle you.